We'll be going live in a minute, sir.
Sure.
Namaskar and a very warm welcome to our week 63 Know Your Species, Know Your Zoo talk. This talk is being organized on the Magar and the Nawab Wajid Ali Shah Zoological Garden. This talk is being organized by the Central Zoo Authority, New Delhi, as part of the ongoing Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Mahotsav is a 75-week-long celebration to commemorate 75 years of India's independence, which falls on the 15th of August 2022. The Central Zoo Authority is taking the celebration forward through a massive outreach campaign entitled Conservation to Coexistence, the People Connect. Under the helm of this campaign, we will be showcasing 75 conservation priority species and 75 zoos, highlighting one species and one zoo each week. We are currently in week 64 of this celebration with the Magar as the species in focus and the Nawab Wajid Ali Shah Zoological Garden as the zoo in focus. So joined in today to speak to us on the species is Professor B.C. Chaudhary, who is the trustee and the principal investigator of aquatic projects at the Wildlife Trust of India. Dr. Chaudhary has started his career in wildlife research over 4 decades ago from Orissa with the initiation of the Crocodile Conservation Project. He has been instrumental in setting up the Madras Crocodile Bank Trust and the Andhra Pradesh Crocodile Conservation Project. He has also been involved in the conservation of crocodiles and other aquatic species such as turtles, otters, waterfowl, dolphins, and whale sharks. He's also won various accolades for his contribution in this field through his career, and he is also a member of the IUCN SSC Crocodile Specialist Group and is currently involved with the reintroduction of gharial. They will speak to us today more on the species in focus. So over to you, sir. I will share the presentation for you.
Thank you very much, Arundhati. I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you.
Can you see
Okay.
the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen. I
Okay,
think
sir.
keep the first slide on. I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction onto the mugger. Before we move into the second slide.
Sure, sir.
Um, I think Arundhati said we are going to talk about species which needs conservation measures. I think we started the conservation measures for the mugger crocodile some 47 years ago. And today, probably mugger crocodile is in the international arena in the least concerned category, and probably do not need the conservation initiative that was initiated long back. So I think the species has been brought back from the brink of extinction into a situation where it is no longer under any kind of a threat. The mugger or the marsh crocodile, in the scientific name Crocodilus palustris, is one of the three species of crocodilians that occur in India out of the 23 species of crocodilians that are present in the world. In India, the other two species, as all of you know, are the saltwater crocodile or the estuarine crocodile Crocodilus porosus and the long-snouted fish-eating crocodile gharial or the Gavialis gangeticus. The mugger is a freshwater crocodile, though in Sri Lanka, the species shares its habitat with the saltwater crocodile in saline and brackish water environment. And in India, the species is sympatric, shares its habitat uh, with the gharial, the long-snouted crocodile, in the snow-fed North Indian river systems. And that's very interesting. In Sri Lanka, in the peninsular part of India, the species is sympatric with the saltwater crocodile. In the North Indian river systems, it is sympatric with the gharial crocodile. Next slide, please. Okay. Common freshwater crocodile, as I told you, it inhabits in all kinds of freshwater habitats. That is why it is extremely widespread, except the snow-clad mountain regions of the India. As you can see the distribution map, it's also found in Pakistan. Still beyond Pakistan, it is found in Iran as well. Largely a species occurring into the peninsular India, the stronghold, the Gangetic Plain, the stronghold, except the foothills of the Himalaya, Terai, it is also a stronghold of the species. And any kind of a freshwater habitat, the species can be found. It is very adaptable and occurs in a temperature range starting from 4 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius, which means it's found in the temperate cold regions and also tropical semi-arid regions of the country. grows to a maximum length of 15 to 16 feet in size. There is no sexual dimorphism like the gharial, where the male ghara is the identifying character for the gharial male. Uh, Next. The species is distributed in India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Pakistan, and Iran, and probably extinct in the wild in Bangladesh. The best populations were in the thals, which are the freshwater lakes in the Tarai, is called thals, in the thals in the Tarai region, also in the Gangetic floodplains and the wetlands of the Gangetic floodplains. But over the last 50 years, the Gangetic floodplain wetlands have suffered the most. I know of 111 wetlands where the Siberian crane used to occur. Only about 11 wetlands survive in the Gangetic plains now. So wherever the thals, the lakes in the Gangetic plains have suffered the most, there also the species has suffered. As I told, it is sympatric with gharial in the fast-flowing rivers in North India earlier, have adapted and survived well in all man-made reservoirs and water bodies. As you all know, almost 4.9% is our protected area network, and almost 5.8 or 9% of our area is under inundated man-made water bodies. And if by 2030 to 40, if all reservoirs are a reality, then I think it will actually far exceed the protected area network of the country. Probably that would be ideal for the mugger crocodile, because any kind of a standing water body, stagnant, non-flowing water body is ideal for the mugger crocodile to survive on. Next slide. It is extremely gregarious. Uh, Fairly large number of individuals can occur at one place, except the breeding season. As you can see from the picture, this is taken with a aerial view using a drone. And as you can see, something like 20 mugger crocodiles you can see basking together. It's almost like the gharial basking together, except during the breeding season, the males are becoming a little more territorial because they are polygamous. They breed with several females, and that is how they maintain a territory during the breeding season. And most of the human crocodile cases, human crocodile conflict cases, also happen during the breeding season of the crocodile. The next slide. The Can you please change the slide now? Yeah. Gregarious in nature, even in captive situation, this is a picture in the captive situation. Very, very crowd. I think density decreases the territorial behavior in crocodilians, and this is a captive situation from the Madras Crocodile Bank. Gregarious in nature, except during the breeding season when territorial. Breeds during the summer months, March to April. It's a hole nester. It comes out of the water body onto the land, digs a hole in the ground of about 1.5 to 2 feet in depth, 15 to 20 feet from the water sets, and 25 to 40 eggs are in a clutch in a nest laid. Uh, After about 45 to 60 days, depending on the temperature at which the eggs are incubated, there is no parental care. The mother has no role to play. It actually makes a nest hole in the ground, lays the eggs, covers it up, and that's the end of her role. Though it is guarding the nest nearby from the water's edge, and when the hatchlings are ready to hatch, they will make noise from within, and the mother will come and open the nest and take the hatchlings in her mouth back to the water. Hatchlings are about 25 to 30 centimeter in length when they hatch out, roughly about 150 to 200 grams in weight. They feed on insects to begin with, gradually move into fish fingerlings, frogs, and other small vertebrates, and they graduate to fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals as they grow larger. They can overcome a large mammal in the water collectively. I have seen mugger crocodiles pull a gore calf in Tadoba lake. So I think, depending on the size of the mugger crocodile, they can possibly drown a big animal also. Next slide, please. Um, the reason they were critically low in number in 1975 because they were hunted for their skin. Crocodile skins, as all of you know, are an extremely sought after skin, extremely durable. And the skin trade export from India, crocodile skin export from India was stopped only during 1968. Till that point of time, India was one of the largest exporter of the crocodile skins. 1968, the export was banned. 1969, the crocodile conservation program was thought of, and 1975, the launched the crocodile conservation scheme was launched. Eggs were taken for medicinal use such as a cure for asthma and also aphrodisiac value. Also hunted for damaging fisheries in reservoirs. People have a misnomer. They think crocodiles are large in size and therefore they would probably be eating a large quantity of food. In fact, with crocodilians, the food economy is amazing. An adult crocodile weighing about 80 to 90 kilograms will require almost a year's time to eat its equivalent body weight of food. They convert the food into body weight significantly, and therefore they are probably the world's most food economy animals you can think of. One of the problems, crocodiles are also hunted on retaliation. There are human crocodile conflict or livestock crocodile conflicts, and in retaliation, they are hunted by people. Their water bodies are drained for agriculture and aquaculture. A significant amount of habitat loss has taken place, but still, wherever there is fresh water, the species is doing relatively well. In 1975, there were around 2 to 250 adults in India in extremely scattered, isolated populations. Next slide, please. Again, I think I can show you. This is a picture taken in the Charotar area of Gujarat, very close to Anand. There are probably about 300 crocodiles in several water bodies inhabiting so well with human population, livestock, and so on. You will see more pictures in the future. And it's probably one of the classic example of a species inhabiting with people, livestock together with peaceful coexistence. I'll come to that a little later. Next slide. In 1976, the Magar Crocodile Conservation Project was initiated on Gujarat, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu. Almost in 11 states, the Crocodile Conservation Project was initiated. Eggs were collected from the wild, from wild-led nests and hatched in artificial hatcheries, which I think all of you know what is happening in Kukrel. There are when the Crocodile Conservation Project began, there were a total of 39 such centers throughout the country. And currently, I think many of these centers are not required. No more wild-led egg collection, hatching is taking place. In captivity, they are breeding in many centers, so we don't have to collect wild-laid eggs at all. Hatchlings were reared in captivity up to 1.2 meters and then released into the wild in protected areas. Muggers have been released in 25 protected areas in the country, probably more. I am personally involved at least 20 to 20 odd protected areas where I have released mugger crocodiles. The wild population of mugger is about 10,000, and now with the best population probably in the state of Gujarat and probably in the state of Uttar Pradesh also, with the Gangetic floodplain supporting a large number of muggers. Probably the next best population is probably in the state of Uttar Pradesh or in the state of Rajasthan. I'm not too sure at this point of time, but Gujarat is probably the largest population at this point of time. Next slide. Mother crocodiles are being reared and exhibited in about, I was told by the Central Zoo Authority, there are probably 2,000 mugger crocodiles in captivity in 60 zoos of the country. My information was 35 to 40 zoos in India, but the latest information provided by the Central Zoo Authority, there are probably 2,000 mugger crocodiles in captivity in zoos in about 60 zoos. One of the larger captive population is the Madras Crocodile Bank in Chennai. This picture is from the Madras Crocodile Bank Trust in Chennai. Captive populations are in good numbers in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh. Mother crocodiles have bred in captivity in about, I am not exactly sure in how many zoos they have bred, but I'm 100% sure they probably bred in over 30 zoos. Almost any small population in captivity, they have successfully bred them in captivity. Next slide, please. Um, with the with increasing breeding in the wild and religious, there have been cases of human crocodile conflict. You see the picture: livestock, crocodiles, people, everything is in the picture, and this has created sometime a situation of difficulty with increasing in the breeding in the wild and population augmentation by religious. Cases of human crocodile conflicts are on the rise, and currently I'm involved with a human crocodile conflict situation, developing a standard operating procedure in such cases. I'm with the GIZ project. Conflict cases have been recorded in high numbers along the Viswamitra River in Vadodara in Gujarat, followed by Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, Telangana, UP, and Odisha. And um, uh, the mugger crocodiles, tourism exists in Sasangir in Gujarat, Katania Ghat in UP, Chambal in Madhya Pradesh, UP and Rajasthan, and Tadoba in Maharashtra. It is not that people are against the crocodile. The crocodile, mugger crocodile, has been a point of resource, tourism resource in many parts of the protected areas. As I give you an example, in Sasangir in Gujarat, Katania Ghat in UP, Chambal in UP, MP, Rajasthan, and Tadoba in Maharashtra. People actually go to see mugger crocodiles in the wild. Next slide, please. Okay, what you see here is again a picture from the Charota region. A crocodile a uh, in a village area. Mugger crocodiles are great walkers. They tend to go from one water body to another water body when the water level becomes low, and in the process they get into villages, into rural landscape, and so on. Here you see a mugger crocodile at night trying to walk from one water body to other water body, in the process getting stuck in a village area. But there are many such cases, not just in Gujarat. There are in many instances of such things happening in Tamil Nadu. In fact, during my early crocodile working period, I have rescued crocodiles from mobile cinema halls in Tamil Nadu. So these kind of cases also you can see with the involving the mugger crocodile. Next slide, please. You see the peaceful coexistence, a mugger crocodile basking on the banks of a water body. Close to that, people with a kid child, spending their time, along with the. So I think, sometime it is probably one of the less offensive crocodile, in spite of the fact that it has probably the closest link with the Nile crocodile, which is probably the world's one of the most notorious crocodile species with human crocodile conflict. It has much more genetic link with the Nile crocodile, but in spite of the fact that it is not as offensive a crocodile as Nile crocodile is. Next slide. Sometime I think you see situations like this. I know it is a quite a common situation in canals of Uttar Pradesh, where crocodiles sometimes get into a canal, uh, and you will have to rescue and get them into a captive situations. Many times you have a difficulty of taking it back to the wild, and unless it is a protected area where people and crocodiles cannot coexist together, only such places where they can be released. And if you don't have many protected area, protected waterscape, then you have a problem of where to keep them. I think in increasingly several states have started rescuing crocodiles from the wild, this kind of problematic crocodiles, and keeping them in captivity, like the Madras Crocodile Bank. Something in central India, two such centers have come up. Andaman Nicobar, a such center is coming up. So in the future, you might see a lot of problematic crocodile being kept in crocodile banks or crocodile parks for public viewing as a tourism attraction. Next slide, please. You see, I talked about peaceful coexistence. These are all pictures of the Charotar area in Gujarat, uh, provided by the VNC, Voluntary Nature Conservation, Charotar people. You see the villagers, they are actually going through their daily ritual along the watersheds. and probably less than 10 meters away there is a crocodile swimming. Okay, so these are pictures, which are peaceful coexistence pictures, but one has to be extremely careful that this should not go out of hand. So currently we need to be making sure, while at one case like Vishwamitra River in Gujarat, human crocodile conflict is to the negative approach, and Charotar, human crocodile uh, coexistence is in the positive case study. So I think, it's a species which one need to take care to understand is probably not as offensive as we think it to be. Next slide. Mugger crocodile population in India and Nepal are thriving, and the species now listed in the vulnerable in the IUCN Red List category. In India, the species is protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Currently, the Wildlife Protection Act is going through a review of amendment, and perhaps it is time to reconsider its status and listing in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. It's probably time to take it out of the Schedule 1 of the Indian Wildlife Protection Act, possibly into a status in which the species has also been already been saved from the brink of extinction. So that is an interesting case study of the mugger crocodile. Next slide, please. A few more pictures of peaceful coexistence. One would expect this to situation continue. I would like to give a little bit of brief introduction onto the crocodiles in biology. Next slide, please. Uh, the lifespan is over 50 years. I know of an individual crocodile in Jaipur Zoo. Jaipur Zoo was the first zoo in the country to breed the mugger crocodile in captivity in 1969, and an individual in Jaipur Zoo survived for more than 79, 80 years. From about 1.2 meter to 6 meter size class, they grow from 70 gram to about 110 in weight. The bite force is 3,500 per square inch. They swim, they walk up to 17 kilometer per hour, and swimming is 10 to 15 kilometer per hour. So it's not a very fast species, it's a rather sluggish species, but in water, it's in its own element than any other places. So I think in water, it is the master predator. Next slide. Um, Thermoregulation, you will see the crocodiles basking in hard substrates. The body coloration of black absorbs as much of sunlight as possible. Plus, they increase the surface area for basking by opening their mouth, and that is how they increase the body temperature. With an increased body temperature, they will start feeding, and the metabolism will grow higher, and that is how the food intake will also increase. That is one of the reasons in winter the mugger crocodile or any other crocodile do not require much food. The body temperature comes down, the metabolism goes down, and therefore the food requirement becomes much less. Next slide. Uh, I wanted to focus a little bit on the mugger burrows. This is the only crocodilian of the three crocodilian species which makes burrows along the water's edge, both during the high temperature and during the low temperature. The crocodiles get into a burrow. I have measured burrows which are actually 28 feet in deep, and at the end of the 28 feet, there is a large area where at least 7 to 8 crocodiles can stay together. I have also monitored the temperature and moisture condition of the burrows. When the outside temperature is above 45 degrees Celsius, the inside temperature is somewhere in the region of 27, 28 degrees Celsius. It's probably this kind of stable temperature and moisture condition which makes the crocodile live in a burrow. So you are seeing the mugger burrows. Again, this picture is again a picture in Gujarat. I have monitored over 50 such burrows in the uh, Gir National Park in the Kamleshwar Lake, Hiran Lake. Next slide. Sometime, I know you see this mugger burrow, it sometimes comes out to bask in a little bit. Sometimes they also lay eggs in the burrow and they hatch out in the burrow. I have collected several times, I have collected crocodile nest, mugger crocodile nest from a mugger burrow at the foot of the mouth of the mugger burrow. Next slide. Next. Okay. I told you this is a picture of a mugger crocodile on a high walk, taking its body above the ground and walking into the very many times the mugger will slide into the water, and that is a common locomotory pattern, sliding into the water, which is also called as tobogganing. But this is a high walk. Sometimes they raise their body off the ground and walk mostly away from the water towards the land. This is an unusual picture of a mugger on a high walk from the away from the watersheds into the water. Next slide. The reproduction, uh, the courtship picture, the first picture is of that of a courtship, a male grabbing the female, and it's a polygamous species. It mates with several females. And the middle picture is a whole nest in the ground, and 2 to 3 layers of eggs laid. And after 45 to 50 days, depending on the temperature of incubation, 34 to 35 degrees Celsius temperature, the hatchlings come out. Right onto the side, you see a hatchlings which is probably 30 centimeter in size. From 30 centimeter, they probably grow to a size of about 15 to 16 feet in about 30 to 40 years. Uh, Crocodiles never cease to grow. Till their death, they will continue to grow, but the growth ceases as they grow bigger in size. Probably towards the end of their life, they hardly grow at all, but in the initial stages, they really grow fast. In about 3 to 4 years' time, we have in captivity crocodiles reaching a size of 1.5 to 1.8 meters. Next slide. Here is an unusual slide. I have collected crocodile eggs and crocodile hatchlings from a burrow, mouth of a burrow in Gujarat. This also is a picture from Gujarat in the Charotar area. I have collected mugger crocodile eggs and mugger crocodile hatchlings from Sasangir in the Hiran Lake. And uh, this kind of a behavior of making a burrow and remaining inside a burrow to avoid the harsh winter as well as the harsh summer is the characteristic of the mugger crocodile. So mugger burrow is a typical behavior of the mugger crocodile which it shares with the Nile crocodile. So these are the two crocodilians in the world which makes crocodile burrows. Next slide, please. I wanted to show you a high walk on a highway. You can see a crocodile walking across from the left side into one water body to another water body. They are great wanderers. They go from one area to other area, and that is where the human crocodile conflict situation arises. Many a times, such cases happen at night. Many a times, such cases happen during the breeding season when the females are guarding the nest a little bit. There is a little bit of a parental care of nest guarding. That is the time where most of the human crocodile conflict cases are happening. I think with a crocodile population, mugger crocodile population, somewhere near 10 to 15,000 now in the country, I think we are going to hear a lot of human crocodile conflict cases involving the mugger crocodile, and we have to understand the biology of the species a little bit to devise proper mechanism of avoiding human crocodile conflict situation. I think I have only that much to say. I don't think this is the last slide, I guess. Next. Yeah, eye sign. Crocodile population is counted at night. Daytime you can count them basking. At night time you can use a spotlight, and from the eye, the tapetum lucidum, that is reflects the eye sign in a ruby red color. So from the ruby red color, the number of ruby red colors you see, that many crocodiles you are counting. Nighttime census for mugger crocodiles is the best method of assessing the population. Sometimes people overestimate the population. Two reflections from the two eye counted as two crocodiles, but actually that belongs to one crocodile. But eye sign from the tapetum lucidum of the eye is what you will embark on when you do a night count of a crocodile population estimation. Okay. If there is no slide, I will stop here. I think that there is no more slide. The last one, I wanted to acknowledge, I must say the slides were collected from many different people. Dr. Raju Vyas from Gujarat, Nikhil Vitaka from Chennai, Soham Mukherjee from Gujarat, Subrat Behra from Uttar Pradesh, Anirudh Bhasava from VNC India. And of course, uh, Gauri Malapur helped me compile the slides into a presentation, and I am acknowledging all the people who have made me present this talk to you. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chaudhary, for sharing the species in focus information in such a concise form with the short time that we had. We will take question answers for your session at the end of the talk. We now move on to the talk on the zoo. So joined today to speak to us on the zoo is Mr. Ashok Kumar, who is the director of the Nawab Wajid Ali Shah Zoological Garden. Mr. Kumar is an Indian Forest Service officer from the 1991 batch and is currently serving as the APCCF and the CCF of the HRD, along with holding the additional charge as director of the zoo. Throughout his career, Mr. Kumar has held various posts of importance and will speak to us today more on the zoo in focus. So over to you, sir.
Uh, Thank you, Arundhati. Nawab Wajid Ali Shah Prani Udyan, Lucknow, which is popularly known as Lucknow Zoo and earlier known as Prince of Wales Zoological Garden, Lucknow, was established in the year 1921 to commemorate the visit of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales to Lucknow. The zoo is spread over an area of 29 hectares. The idea of establishing zoological gardens at Lucknow emanated from Sir Harcourt Butler, the then governor of the state. It was received enthusiastically by prominent landlords, and the leading citizens of the state donated liberally for the construction of the animal houses and cages, and also presented animals and birds for the display from time to time. A committee of management was formed consisting of donors and other prominent citizens. Colonel Winthrop, Commissioner of Lucknow, was appointed as the first president and Sheikh Maqbul Hussain as first secretary of the committee. The committee was registered under Societies Registration Act in 1926 and thereafter as Prince of Wales Zoological Garden Trust, Lucknow, on January 20, 1950 under Charitable Endowment Act 1890. Mr. Lintel Bogla and Chief Engineer of the Lucknow Improvement Trust designed the layout of the zoo along with its buildings and cages. 26 buildings along with cages were constructed from 1921 to 1926. The main gate on the Narai side, known as Sir Ludwig Porter Gate, facing west, was constructed in 1936. In the year 1950, the management committee was dissolved and an advisory committee was formed with the secretary to the government of UP Public Health Department as its chairman and the director of medical and health services, Uttar Pradesh, as ex officio administrator. In 1966, administrative control was transferred to Forest Department and advisory committee was also reorganized with the secretary to the government of UP Forest Department as its chairman and the deputy chief conservator of forest as ex officio administrator. From time to time, the reorganization of the Zoo Advisory Committee was done, and presently the new advisory committee was constituted on 4th of August 2001. The new Zoo Advisory Committee consists of Forest Principal Secretary as Chairman, Principal Chief Conservator of Forest Vice Chairman, Chief Wildlife Warden as Administrator, and Director of Zoo as Member Secretary. White Government Order 2001, Prince of Wales Zoological Gardens Trust Lucknow was the name was its name was changed to Lucknow Prani Udyan, and it was again changed to Nawab Wajid Ali Shah Prani Udyan Lucknow White Government Order dated 7 July 2015. The Uttar Pradesh government under Charitable Endowment Act 1890 and White their order 31st January 1978 formulated a management scheme which is effective since 1st February 1978. Zoo is having more than 1,000 wild animals of 88 species, along with about 800 fish of 42 species in the zoo aquarium. There are 152 enclosures inhabiting variety of animals including mammals, reptiles, avian fauna. The objectives of the zoo are to provide information, education, and awareness about animals to the visitors, conservation and breeding of rare and endangered animals, scientific studies, research on animals, and rescuing and rehabilitation activities. The zoo has quite number of heritage buildings. Baradari was built by Nawab Nasiruddin Haider in 1828, originally at Kesarbagh, and later was shifted to this place, that is Lucknow Zoo, after 1857. It is also known as Nagina Wali Baradari because stones were embedded on it, though these are not found today. Baradari was used by Nawabs for relaxing and listening to the music. Popular song of 80s in Aankhon Ki Masti of film Umrao Jaan was filmed in this Baradari. Now this structure, that is bandstand, is just in front of Baradari. The Baradari bandstand was constructed the magicians used to play their instrument to entertain the members of royal family at this place. Ash Mahal was also built by the then Nawabs, and it was used as aquarium for a longer period of time. Thereafter, it was rebuilt as a center of alternative energy to educate visitors, especially children. The then Maharaja of Balrampur generously donated funds to build the enclosures for lion, tiger, and leopard. The enclosure for lion is known as Balrampur Lion House. This is Balrampur Lion House. These structures are still in use and considered by many foresters as one of the best enclosures ever built. Enclosures are spacious, technically sound, quite comfortable to animals in all weathers, and good in aesthetics. Mamta feature film scenes were shot in the Balrampur house. In 1922, Bengal and Western Northern Railway applied to the Forest Department for laying a railway track in Gorakhpur to transport the timber from forest area to the main line. Then a 22.4-kilometer long railway track was laid and completed in 1926. Tram with 25 bogies was used to transport the logs from Punari forest to Lakshmimpur station in Gorakhpur district. The train remained in service till 1975 and was completely stopped in the year 1982. Now vintage tram in zoo is a point of major attraction for the visitors. The toy train inaugurated on 14th November 1969 and was replaced by new train in February 2014, and a new railway track was also constructed in 2014. It is 1.4 kilometer. It has one engine and 4 compartments. This train is a major attraction for among the children. The amenities provided in the park in the zoo is parking facilities. We have 2 parking facilities at both the gates. Pram for small children, wheelchair for specially abled, locker facility at the main gate, RO water filter, coolers all around the campus at 23 places, visitor sheds, benches at various locations, guide map, souvenir shop, online booking, online ticket booking facility through our website with 10% discount. Toilets at convenient locations at 7 places, and we have canteen and food court, mobile app, audio tour, visual and augmented reality show. Pollution environment friendly battery vehicles. We have 6 of them. They take part to the whole round of the zoo. We have a very good nature interpretation center, which was inaugurated by Honorable Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath ji, in 2017, displaying various interesting and rare wildlife models, skins, tusks, feathers, ostrich and emu eggs, hippopotamus skull, tiger trophy, white cobra specimen, information galleries on various taxa. It has 7, you can say, compartments depicting different themes. We have Butterfly Park, which was inaugurated in 2018, and it is spread in 2-acre area. It is an open butterfly park, and 45 species has been spotted so far in the park. It aims to raise awareness about the importance of the butterflies and involve people for their conservation. We have we have Butterfly Interpretation Center also. And for entertainment and understanding and to create awareness about the need for conservation of natural resources among the visitors, we have 3D auditorium. It is very good auditorium. We have large, green, well-maintained, manicured lawns, fountains, and flowering track, which are ideal for the family and school picnic, etc. Last year, the zoo completed its 100 years. Honorable Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh inaugurated Shatabdi Stamp on this occasion. This zoo has got 3 certifications: ISO certificates in the field of occupational health and safety management system, environmental management system, and in quality management system. They are valid till 2024. There was again achievement last year when this zoo got the membership of World Association of Zoos and Aquarium membership. And we have 5 zebras from Israel last year as new arrivals, new guests, and leopard cat, slow loris, Himalayan bear from Nagaland Zoo this March. We have all the major big cats: lion, tiger, white tiger, leopard cat, fishing cat, jungle cat, jackal, fox, Indian wolf, hyenas, serval cat, caracal, and in the primates we have lion-tailed monkey, chimpanzee, bonnet macaque, macaque stump-tailed, rhesus monkey, common langur, slow loris, and in the deer family we have swamp deer, black buck, chinkara, hog deer, sambar deer, spotted deer, barking deer, other herbivores, giraffe, zebra, hippopotamus, Indian giant squirrel, and in the nocturnal house we have barn owl, great horn owl, eagle owl, mottled wood owl, porcupine, etc. In the birds we have sarus crane, black-necked stork, pheasant, pelicans, painted stork, parrots, vulture, white peacock, silver pheasants, Thalis pheasants, golden pheasant, hill myna, parakeets, owls, water ducks. Among the reptiles, we have crocodiles. We have 13 crocodile and 7 ghadials in the zoo. Indian cobra, Indian python, viper, sand boa, earth snake, rat snake, turtle. And we have Indian and exotic fishes, a very good aquarium. And this zoo has, for the first time in Indian zoos, we have a facility for visually impaired persons. A braille gallery depicting information about wild animals in braille script. It is near the interpretation center. This zoo is famous and we have very good doctors who conduct rescue operations. And at present, we have 10 tigers and 12 leopards from the rescue operations. We have a very good veterinary hospital where we have two X-ray machines, fixed and portable, one mobile ultrasound machine, electrocautery, operation theater, indoor patient isolation and quarantine wards, rescue van, ambulance with equipment. And these are the main entrance of the hospital. These are indoor wards, treatment room, pathology, and admin block for the doctors. And these are X-ray and ultrasound unit, pathology room, medicine, treatment room. And these are the instruments which are required for like tranquilizer gun, blowpipe, dart, syringe, and essential medicines. Now this zoo is a coordinated zoo for swamp deer species recovery and conservation breeding plan entrusted by CZA. The breeding area is 5,600 square meter and exhibit area is 2216 square meter. Total number of animals at present are 92. Their mating time is November to December and parturition time is June to August. For the last 10 years from 2012 to 22, there are total 108 births and we have given 70 swamp deer to other zoos. National Botanical Research Institute of Lucknow prepared a list of more than 5,000 plants of 95 species in the year 2017. The list include rare plants like kalpvriksh, sandalwood tree, sita ashok, rudraksh, soya maida, varna, etc. Now, some of these trees are more than 100-year old. Overall, more than 60% of the area of the zoo is covered by trees. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much, sir, for sharing an overview of the Lucknow Zoo. And we now move on to question and answers for today's talk. So, Dr. Chaudhary, first we will take up questions for the species section. So, the first question for you, sir, is that what is the method of population estimation for a water-dwelling species?
Okay. You mean water-dwelling species. There are so many species in water. But, since the talk was on crocodiles, I would confine myself to talking about the mugger crocodile. I think, one need to understand mugger crocodile being a reptile. They are ectothermic and they must come out of the water onto the land to bask, to increase their body temperature. So if you are trying to make a population assessment, you get into the middle of the river or middle of the lake and see how many crocodiles are basking on the land. That's a direct count of the basking crocodiles. In the night time, as I told you, the tapetum lucidum, the eyes actually shine back. You use a spotlight and the eyes actually ruby red signature, ruby red luminescence signature they provide. So from the eye sign, you can count the how many eye signs, that is your night. So if you can make an assessment of the daytime, what percentage of animals are actually basking and what percentage of animals you are seeing at night, you can come to a total figure of daytime and nighttime count, and you can come to an assessment. Roughly between night count and the daytime count, you see about 60 to 70% of the animals. Another 30% of the animals you don't normally see which are under the water. They can remain underwater for a very fairly long period of time, and therefore you probably miss out about 30% of these individuals. So what you see between the day count and the night count is probably about 70% of the species. There are also indirect methods based on the spoor mark or the track marks. Based on the fecal droppings, you can actually make an assessment of how many animals are there based on the indirect sightings.
Right, sir. And so the next question for you is that muggers are moving to inhabit newer areas with agricultural ponds, canals, and etc., as you had also mentioned in your presentation. What is the significance of this, and what management measures can be put in place? Are there any?
As I told you in the beginning, this is a species which can inhabit in any kind of freshwater situation. It is also a species which can tolerate 40 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius, and it is also a species which can inhabit on out of water for a long period of time. So that is one of the reason, even if it goes out of onto the land area and can tolerate a significant amount of water loss from the body. It's a very thick, so therefore there is enough conservation of water in its body, and therefore it can survive outside water for a long period of time. It is probably the least aquatic of all the three species of crocodiles we have in India. And this is one region when they go out of the water from a non-availability of water into available water. That is how they get into canals, lakes, small ponds, and so on. And also there is, as I told you, during the breeding season, they are a bit territorial. So the animals which are not contributing to the breeding population, they would be chased out of that area into other less optimal area. And this is where this left of less optimal areas they migrate into. And we need to be making an assessment of what is the total number of animals give in a given area, and we need to make sure that the population doesn't actually overpopulate into this area, so that there are problematic which are the area into other areas. So we need to be making sure what is the total number of animals you can keep in a. Too many adults will create a problem. So you need to have a size class apex in which the largest size classes are few in number, then less sub-adult size classes, then the juveniles, and then the hatchlings. Hatchlings, of course, you don't keep together. Hatchlings don't survive in a situation like that. So you need to have a pyramid of sizes made, and you need to say water area and land area is required to how many individuals. The Central Zoo Authority has given some guidelines, but a thumb rule estimation, in spite of the fact they are highly gregarious, you can probably keep about 10 animals in about 100 meter square area. Not more than in a given area, so that they don't become problematic. They don't out of that area.
Right, sir. And so the next question for you is what conservation management measure can should be taken for a species that is likely to be in a high conflict situation? I think this does not specify the species, but I think it's for the crocodile.
Yeah, in general. See, what we are trying to do at this point of time, looking at the distribution range and the population numbers, we are trying to find out, which part of the country has the most dominant populations. We have now come to the conclusion, Gujarat has the highest density of mugger crocodiles in the country, followed by probably Madhya Pradesh or Uttar Pradesh and so on, Maharashtra to a larger extent. Karnataka is increasingly becoming. So can create of hotspots. There are large number of animals. There are human conflict or human livestock conflict cases are recorded. A compilation of such a nature has been done by the Madras Crocodile Bank based on 5 or 6 states. That was an old assessment done by a separate project. We will probably require a national assessment done currently under the Human Conflict Project of the GIZ. We are doing that for 3 states: West Bengal, and Uttarakhand. These are the 3 states for which we are creating a map of conflict areas, and we will probably identify most conflict districts, conflict district, human wildlife conflict, human crocodile conflict hotspots, and so on. Once the mapping is done, then you can realize what measures are required to decrease the number of in a given area and how they can be spread out into areas where there will be less conflict. So that is the management regime which we are thinking of at this point of time.
Right, sir. And so the next question for you is, do you think mugger is a good species for positive reinforcement training in zoos?
Can you repeat that question?
So the question is that do you think mugger is can be a good species for positive reinforcement training in zoos?
Yeah, why not? I think, every species in a zoo is a possible candidate for a training. A particular, not just particular species, but its relative cousins and others can also be used as a can be also used in a training program. Amongst the three species, I think the gharial tends to be very unique because of its long snout and the ghara at the tip of the snout. It is unique, and therefore people get fascinated by the gharial crocodile. The saltwater crocodile, you don't see them all over. You see them only in the areas where there are mangrove and littoral forest, and that is why they are only in the Andaman Nicobar Island, in Sundarban, and in the Bhitarkanika of Odisha. The third species, which is the mugger crocodile, which is very widespread, starting from a small water body to a lake, to a thar lake, to a tarai lake, to rivers, to any kind of freshwater system you talk of, this species is present. So it actually provides a greater opportunity to be included in education awareness program in small water bodies. In a small water body, if there is a crocodile, you can place a board and say, yes, this place has a crocodile. This is a mugger crocodile. Not very offensive as you think it to be, but what care you need to take. Swimming is should be prohibited. You washing clothes and using the water for other purposes would be prohibited. But there is also something called crocodile exclusive enclosures, CEE. So you can actually construct CEs in the watershed so that people can use the water body without the fear of a crocodile. And the CE is something which we have adopted from Sri Lanka, and something of that nature can be adopted so that human and crocodile can coexist safely. And this is something already in the area in Gujarat, and peaceful coexistence slides I have shown in my presentation in Charotar area.
Right, sir. And now coming to the last question, which is in two parts, I think. The question is that can release of surplus mugger that is bred in captivity be considered a viable option for management of the captive populations? And to that, the second part
Yeah.
is that what are the acceptable methods of population control of muggers in captivity?
Okay. To answer the first question, I think I always say this: you don't release buffaloes in wheat field. It's advantageous to buffalo. Similarly, you don't raise crocodiles in areas where there are water is in use by people or livestock or anything. So I think crocodiles can only be used in protected areas, in protected landscape, protected sanctuaries and national parks, where the human crocodile interaction is minimal. So we can think of 800 protected areas in the country, and which have ideal aquatic the crocodiles can be reintroduced. And also, you need to think of long term. You can probably breed them in captivity, but you need to decide, if I breed too many of them, what am I going? Okay, in such a situation, you need to think how to control too many, not to breed too many of them. One way of doing is segregating the males from the females. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is collecting the eggs to incubate them, in the nature, or you don't incubate them artificial range situation. If they are kept outside, they at all, so that there is not much of increase in the population. So there are several methods of doing it. There are no other methods of prohibiting. They stay together. Breeding, that possibility is not there. Several such attempts were made by the bank, but they didn't succeed. So finally, they are keeping the males and females segregated, and will take place. So that is one strategy to not to breed them, not too many of them to be bred in captivity. And what is the next question you asked? I think
What are the acceptable methods
questions I
of
have answered, I
population
guess.
control? I think both, yes, both have been answered in that way.
Right,
And
I answered both of them. Yeah.
yes, yes. So those were the questions for you, sir. We now move on to questions for Mr. Ashok. So, sir, the first question for you is that Lucknow Zoo is close to several wetlands and rivers which have mugger and gharial. So, does the zoo have any plans for conservation of species like of riverine species like saris crane and gharial?
Okay. I'll say like this that in Kukrel, which is a nearby place, there is a Gadial breeding center. So a lot of Gadials babies are raised there and they are released into the river. And last on 26th of last month, the mother Gadial died, and she has contributed a lot. Almost, I think, 1100 eggs, and she 1100 eggs were, I think, contributed by her, and the babies from her were even, I think, sent to abroad. So that was the great contribution by her, and uh, there is no, I think, nearby area, that is Kukral. That is already we have the area, and that is even the nearby area, and there is no further plans I can say from for the zoo to replicate it. It's already a breeding center there. That's what I want to say.
Right, sir. And so the next question for you is that Lucknow Zoo is one of the first to have braille signage. Are there any future plans for universal accessibilities for the zoo?
Yes. Uh, this zoo has developed facilities uh, for the for the, you can say, visual impaired we have, and other facilities we have constructed, like toilet. It is almost on the verge of completion, and and to the all other enclosures also we are making it friendly for physically impaired persons also.
Okay, sir. And so the last question for you is that are there any research projects that are ongoing on the zoo? And if there are, how can students become involved in the ongoing research projects?
Uh, I think research as such, there are no separate research projects in the zoo. However, the doctors, veterinary doctors, come to the zoo.
We are submitted.
Huh?
अभी submit करा है.
Which one?
I am Dr. Utkarsh Shukla from Lucknow Zoo. We have already submitted a research project for this year, like 22 to 23, for the digitalization of the and this CCTV camera monitoring, like that. We have research project. We are submitted a synopsis to the Central Zoo Authority.
So that is already submitted to CZA. If it is approved, then I think we can move on.
All right, sir. So I think those were the questions for you. And with that, we do not have any more questions. So with that, we come to a conclusion of our week 64 Know Your Species, Know Your Zoo talk. On behalf of Central Zoo Authority, I would like to thank both Dr. B.C. Chaudhary and to you, Mr. Ashok, for taking time out of his busy schedules and joining us for this talk. I would also like to thank the audience who've been patient with us and have been listening to our talk on the Magar and on the Nawab Wajid Ali Shah Zoological Garden. I hope you've taken more knowledge on the zoo and species. And I would also like to inform the audience that Lucknow Zoo will be continuing the outreach activities till the end of the week. So if you are in Lucknow, do visit the zoo and participate in the activities that they have planned. And we will be back next week on Wednesday with our week 65 talk, which is on the Saris crane. And the zoo focus for that week is the Shahid Ashfaqullah Khan Prani Udyan. So do tune in for that talk next Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. And once again, coming to a conclusion for today's talk, Namaskar. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you very much.